Hello and welcome back to the Allan Kardec USA channel, where we discuss the doctrine of Spiritism as codified in his writings by Allan Kardec. I'm going to take a bit of a break today from the series of readings from the Astral City book to do this presentation, but don't worry, for those of you looking forward to readings of the next chapters of the Astral City, I will continue with that soon. Today, we are going to talk about the Perispirit. So, what is the Perispirit? I can tell you this, if you try to research it on your own or watch other video presentations on the subject, you might encounter the use of a lot of fancy terminology and difficult scientific concepts describing the Perispirit. In the works of Allan Kardec, where it seems that word first appears in our history, as it seems that Allan Kardec actually invented that word. By the way, it is said that Allan Kardec may also be the one who invented the word reincarnation, since that word really can't be found in any publication prior to Allan Kardec. If anyone has seen the word reincarnation before the 1850s in a publication, I would love to know about it. The concept of reincarnation does appear in other terms or descriptions for thousands of years, but not as the actual word reincarnation. Anyway, what I was saying, even when you read about the Perispirit in the works of Allan Kardec, the wordings in the books makes understanding it a bit difficult. When I try to explain something, I like to simplify it as much as possible. Make it very easy to understand so that maybe even a child will understand it. So let's start with that question again. What is the Perispirit? Well, in Spiritism, or we might say in life, the human body has a spirit, or your soul, a spirit inside of you that at one time roamed about in the spirit world as an individual before incarnating in your body. So the human body becomes the covering or the envelope or sheet over the spirit that's inside of us. Once the spirit is inside of us, we call it the soul. The spirit has what has been described as a semi-material covering of its own, an envelope or a sheet or over the spirit. We're going to discuss semi-material a bit more later. For now, just understand that your spirit is covered by something called a perispirit, whether the spirit is inside of a human or roaming around in the spirit world. So when, for example, you or a medium sees a spirit taking on the appearance of a person, you are talking to the spirit, but you are looking at the perispirit. It's just like when you talk to a friend or family member here on Earth. You are talking to the person, but you are looking at the person's face and body and hands and clothing. You are not looking at the person's brain or internal organs. So the perispirit of the spirit can be compared to that of a live human's skin and face and clothing. There is a difference, however, in that the perispirit also performs various other functions besides giving the spirit an appearance, so to speak, to look at. Now, let's go to what's inside the perispirit. Inside the perispirit is the spirit. If the spirit is in the human body, it's called a soul instead of a spirit. And once again, what is the soul or spirit? Your spirit is what retains all of your intelligence, your thoughts, your personality, behavior, instincts, feelings, your memories of this life and past lives, the way you think and act. Your spirit is essentially you. Remember I said that the perispirit has other functions besides giving you or a medium something to look at when it's outside of the human body, walking around somebody's house, for example. Well, the perispirit also acts as the link that attaches the spirit to a human body once the spirit has reincarnated into a human being. The spirit's perispirit is also what communicates all of the spirit's thoughts and behaviors to the body's brain. And when it is allowed, it can even communicate to the brain memories of past lives or its activities in the spirit world while the body is asleep and dreaming. Now, I did an entire video on dreams and dreaming that you can see here on this YouTube channel, but I didn't mention the perispirit because it didn't seem important at the time for you to understand how when you are asleep and your soul, your spirit leaves the body, the perispirit also provides what has been referred to as a silver cord that keeps the spirit attached to the sleeping body, no matter how far the spirit travels. Or how when the spirit is visiting with dear loved ones in the spirit world, you are able to show yourself, you, as in your spirit, you are able to show yourself because the perispirit can create the appearance of the person known on earth or known to the person in the spirit world that you are visiting. The perispirit can morph into the appearance of someone his friend in the spirit world will recognize. As I have explained, the perispirit is what creates the face and shape and clothing. By the way, that silver cord that is attached to the person that's asleep to the spirit while the spirit is moving around, no matter how far away it goes, it's called a silver cord because spirits that have communicated with us have said that they can see what appears to be a long silver cord attached to the spirit. Actually, they see it attached to the perispirit, and they know that it is connected on the other end of the cord to the physical human body lying in bed asleep. That cord detaches itself and disappears only after death. Then there is no more silver cord. And guess what? That silver cord is mentioned in the Bible, in the Christian Bible, or in the Hebrew Bible because it's in the Old Testament. In Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verses 6 through 7, remember him. The Bible is speaking of God here. Remember him before that silver cord is severed, and before the golden bowl is broken, before the pitcher is shattered at the spring, and the wheel broken at the well, and the dust returns to the ground it came from, and the spirit returns to God who gave it. That surely sounds like somebody thousands of years ago writing scriptures of the Old Testament knew about the silver cord. When the silver cord is severed, snapped, broken, the person's dust returns to the ground, and the spirit, the dead person's spirit, returns to God and the spirit world. When we are asleep, a spirit covered with the perispirit body, so to speak, leaves the human body lying in bed. The spirit, or better said, the perispirit, can only be seen by mediums and other spirits. Now, remember that you yourself are a medium if you are able to see spirits, even if you don't practice medium regularly. And it is believed that certain animals can sometimes see them based on reports of a dog's behavior when a spirit is moving about nearby. The word SemiMaterial is what may be confusing a lot of people researching the perispirit, trying to learn exactly what it is. How can something be semi-material? Something is either material or immaterial. There is no in between. Everything that you can see and touch and feel or smell is composed of matter. And even if you can't see it with your eyes, sometimes it can be seen with a microscope or a telescope. Even the air is matter. The air around Earth is composed of nitrogen and oxygen. Those are material elements. But Kardec, or the spirits that communicated with Kardec, used the word semi-material, and that might be throwing off a lot of people. What are examples of immaterial, something that's not material at all? Well, let's see. Your thoughts are immaterial. Consciousness is immaterial. Your soul, your spirit, is immaterial. Immaterial is sometimes defined as something that doesn't exist. But we know that those things exist. Think of the times when you saw someone outside in freezing weather and they are inhaling and exhaling. When a breath is released, you can see it. There is a small vaporous cloud coming out of their mouth. But in a warm room, you don't see that breath. That vapor that can be seen is like the medium looking at a spirit, while others who don't have that ability are the ones looking at someone in a warm room breathing. That would make the breath released from our mouths semi-material. I think that Kardec and other leaders of the Spiritist movement that followed Kardec and the good spirits wanted us to use the term semi-material for the Perispirit because some people can see it and some can't during manifestations. But they also stated that it contains a type of electrical or magnetic energy, making it material. Yet they want to use the term semi-material. Also, Spiritism teaches us that it is the energy from the Perispirit, not the spirit, the energy from the Perispirit that is responsible for moving objects when spirits are present. I know that I have said that I have a problem with immaterial beings having the ability to move objects. But if there is any kind of even semi-material element to the spirit's Perispirit, then I suppose it is possible. And like I said, the Perispirit is responsible for quite a few other functions besides morphing into a face and body that you will recognize. The Perispirit is also what transmits communications from the spirit to the brain or to other spirits. And it does this by transmitting the spirit's thoughts. That's how spirits talk to us all the time. They don't speak with a mouth and the sound of a voice. Remember that spirits don't communicate by speaking words. They communicate by transmitting thoughts. The Perispirit is the energy force, the link to transmit those thoughts. In this case, it's like two people on a landline telephone. Yeah, I know, not too many of those around anymore. Where one person is on one phone and the other person is on the other telephone, and there is a wire in between. That wire in between the two telephones that the two persons are talking on, that wire is the Perispirit. You know, there is a theory that as our brains continue to evolve over the next millions of years or so here on Earth, that our brain will not only become larger, but will also have the capacity to communicate our thoughts, human beings, to each other, as spirits do. Did you know that some notable scientists, including Albert Einstein, have concluded that we as humans use only about 10% of our brains now? Only 10%. Everyone. Even the greatest geniuses of the world only use 10% of their brain, at the most. Others might tell you that that is a myth. One study showed that we might be using up to 35% of our brain. That's still not a lot. But if the scientists are correct, by way of human evolution, that percentage will increase. And as humans, we will be capable of a lot more than we are now. including communicating by thought. There's an actual word for that. It's called telepathy. One quick note, the perispirit is no longer needed after the spirit has reached perfection. I have another video here called Why We Must Reincarnate that explains our goal of reaching perfection, if you want to see that discussion. But anyway, the perispirit is not in use at that point, no longer needed. However, if a perfect spirit wants to manifest to a medium, for instance, or be seen by lower spirits, then it can obtain a perispirit for that purpose. It's not totally clear to me why Allan Kardec, and like I said, those that followed him, other leaders of the Spiritist movement, found it important to understand the elements and functions of the perispirit. One might ask, is it important to know about the anatomy of our human bodies and how all the organs function? I know I can breathe. Is it important for me to know that I have 2 lungs inside being used for that? I can see. Is it important for me to know how the eyes work? Well, anatomy must be a good thing to know about, even if we're not going to be a doctor, as it is taught in schools starting at a young age. It helps us to understand who we are. And as it is important for us to have a basic knowledge of the anatomy of the human body, it appears in Spiritism that it is important to also understand the functions of the perispirit. And if you're going to study the books of Allan Kardec, it's probably a good idea to have a basic understanding of the perispirit. That word appears in the Spirit's book 44 times. In the Medium's book, 95 times. In Heaven and Hell, 25 times. And in Allan Kardec's book called Genesis, 89 times. Including an entire chapter on the perispirit called The Formations and Properties of the Perispirit. I highly recommend that you take the time to go through those books if you are interested in learning more about the perispirit. The Spirit's book, right at the start, in the introduction, we see the following. The link, or perispirit, unites the body and the spirit. It is a sort of semi-material envelope. Death destroys only the denser envelope, that is, the physical human body. The spirit retains the perispirit, which comprises its ethereal body. The perispirit is invisible to us in its normal state, but the spirit can render it visible and even tangible, as occurs during the phenomenon of apparitions. Here's another interesting line at question 141 of the Spirit's book. The soul has 2 envelopes. The first is light and subtle, which we call the perispirit. The other is dense, material, and heavy, which is the body. At question 257 of the Spirit's book, we see the following. The perispirit is the link that unites the spirit with the body. It contains electricity, magnetic fluid, and to a certain extent, inert matter. It is the beginning of organic life, but not of mental life, because that belongs to the spirit. Remember, when you speak out words to someone, it's really coming from your brain. It's not originating from your mouth, if that makes sense. In the Medium's book, one line spoken by an elevated spirit reads, "We spirits regard the perispirit as the agent through which we communicate with you." So, as you can see, the perispirit does a lot more than simply provide an image for you to see. A medium just starting out might ask himself or herself, wow, how is it that I am able to see and hear a dead person, a spirit? Well, you can thank the perispirit for that. Please be sure to subscribe to this channel so that you are alerted when the next video is uploaded. You may also share your comments below, or if you would like to write to me personally, I can be reached at kardecusa@gmail.com. My name is Ciso. Take care and have a blessed day.